BookTube, it's Eleanor here, and today I'm going to be talking about some of the books that I've read recently. I've been reading various books, but I've mainly been attracted to graphic novels and shorter books. I think I've just been in that mindset of sort of gobbling up a book and really enjoying sort of finishing a book in a day. So I tend to be attracted to those at the moment off my TBR. So I started with Giant Days, Volume 8. I've really been enjoying this series a lot. If you've watched my channel for a while, you'll know that I've been working my way through these as they come out. They're really nostalgic for me. They remind me very much of my time at university. They remind me of what university was like, friendships, and just this different variety of characters, and it's been real fun following them from their freshman year, their first year, through to now just coming up to their third year. So I'm really looking forward to finding out where they all go, and it's just such a fun and really lovely drawn, colourful graphic novel. So I really enjoy this one, and if you haven't picked it up and it sounds like it might be something that you might enjoy, I definitely recommend. If you don't want to pick it up like this, maybe get it from your library and try it out. I think that's a great way to try graphic novels because they are expensive, but this was a really good one. I ended up giving that one 4 stars, which I think I've given all of them in the series. Just a really enjoyable set of books. I've also finished Volume 1 of My Brother's Husband by Gengoro Tagami. This is a manga, and it's in black and white, as you can see, and this follows the story of our main character Yeichi. He's a single Japanese dad, and he's got a little girl called Kana, and then all of a sudden this big man turns up on his doorstep, this Canadian man who was his brother's husband. He knew his brother was gay, but they didn't really have much of a relationship in their adult life. They sort of drifted apart. There isn't really a sense in here of a reason why, but when his brother has died and his Canadian widower husband has turned up on the doorstep to find out a bit more about his husband's past and family, and meeting the family, and you're just discovering what that's like through this young father's eyes. He is Japanese. There is certain traditions, certain things that are and aren't done in Japan. There's this sense of there not being many gay people, or certainly not openly gay people. So he's coming to terms with that. He's coming to terms with his brother's life choices. He's having to explain to his young daughter what it means for a man to marry a man, and for her to be exploring this idea as well, and just sort of bonding with someone that they didn't really know anything about and didn't even know really existed. So this was really good. I really enjoyed it. I've given this a strong 4 stars. I'm really pleased that my husband bought it for me for Christmas, because it was quite expensive, so I might not have picked it up for myself, but it was well worth the read, and I'm definitely going to try and pick up Volume 2 at some point. The next book I've been working my way through since my birthday, really at the end of November, is a book I picked up for myself as a treat, which was Bibliophile, an Illustrated Miscellany by Jane Mount. From what I can gather, Jane Mount has been she's an illustrator, and she has been designing these custom bookshelf prints for people, where they you know, if it was my birthday and my husband wanted to get me one, he might send her a list and commission her to do this painting of my favourite books, or books that are influential, or books that might mean something to us. And she has painted all these different artwork for people for their homes, and then it got her thinking that maybe she wanted to do something or fill a book up a bit more. And it contains things like lists. So here you've got novels of the 1800s, Brit Lit and Friends. So you've got this drawing of all these different books and these but you've also got a page opposite which gives you some information, some more books, tells you about some specific people. You've got lots of different things. You've got lists like that. There's techno thrills and cyberpunks, dystopia, special powers, fantasy, and then you've got things like writer-owned bookstores, so it tells you a bit about the writer and a bit about a bookstore they own. There's things like striking libraries, and you've got pictures of people striking libraries. You've got some really interesting things in here. Beloved bookstores, writing rooms, people's writing rooms, fictional planet universe. Just some really interesting, fun things to read through, and I really enjoyed just dipping in and out of this and watching and reading a few pages and looking through a few lists. And it's definitely one that I'll be dipping in and out of in the future and possibly picking up some books from. I've already highlighted a few and put them on my wish list because there's a few in here that I hadn't heard of that I'm interested in reading. So yeah, just a really nice coffee table book, one you can dip in and out of. Lots of information here, lots of current books. I mean, for example, on this one, in Special Powers, you've got The Bells by Danielle Clayton, you've got A Darker Shade of Magic by V. Schwab, The Night Circus, The Lightning Thief, The Library at Mount Char, Children of Blood and Bone. So it's very current, it's very up to date. It's not like some of the list books that you get where it's all sort of really old books. This is completely up to date, and I really liked it. So I also gave this one a strong 4 stars. I've got some more books I want to read before I upload this video, so I will come back to you in a couple of days and let you know what I've read, because I'm really reading quite a bit and enjoying my reading this month. I'm yet to pick up that elusive 5-star read, but when I do, I will no doubt be shouting about it to you. But 4 stars is still really good for me, and definitely a book that I've sat and enjoyed, so I'm pleased with my reading so far this year. Anyway, that's it from me, and I'll be back with you in a bit with maybe some more books. Hi guys, so as you can see, I'm still in my off work mode, no makeup, hair shoved up, just chilling. It's my last day before I go back to school. And last night I started this book, Cinder and Ella by Kelly Oram. If you've seen my book haul, you'll know that my lovely husband bought me this for Christmas, and it's a contemporary YA book, and I thought, yes, I'm quite in the mood for that. I started it at about 9:30 last night, and it's now 10:30 the next day in the morning, and I finished it. I was addicted, I was hooked, I couldn't put it down. I really enjoyed this story. It was not perfect, but it was just a wonderful, delightful, gobble you up, know what you're getting type of read. It's a Cinderella retelling, so you kind of know what's going to happen if you've read Cinderella. I won't tell you in case you haven't, you know, spoilers. I think most of you probably should. But it's got a slight twist on it. We have Ella. She is a bit of a blogger. She writes about her favourite fandom, and she is destined, she wants to go to university. She's just turned 18 the morning of the first bit of the book, and she wants to go to university to be a journalist. She has this online relationship with someone that comments on her blog called Cinder, and they have this big sort of snarky debating type banter going back and forward, arguing about the films, but really sort of quite friendly. And sorry, arguing about the books. The books are being made into films. They're just about to have this sort of conversation about the films and the actors that are taking part, and Cinder has just asked for her address for the first time because he wants to send her something. And then, and this isn't a spoiler because it happens at the beginning and it tells you on the back, Ella's mum is taking her on her 18th birthday to on a spa weekend, and a truck hits them. Ella's mum is killed, and Ella wakes up and is 70% covered in burns, and is in rehab. She can't walk properly. There's lots of other things that have happened. She's lucky to be alive. And so obviously during the next 8 months she is in rehab. She is not thinking about anything other than the fact that she's grieving her mother's death. Her mother brought her up on her own from the age of about 6. And then she gets sent to live with her father, who she hasn't really seen, well, she hasn't seen at all since she was 6, and his new family with 2 daughters. can you see the resemblance to Cinderella? And we're just following the fact that she doesn't want to be living there. She doesn't know these people. The sisters feel resentful of her being there, and this sort of recovery and the depression that comes with it, and the changes that have happened to her, the physical therapy, the surgery she's had to have and that will always have to have, the way it's changed her in terms of how she perceives herself, the way that she's treated. And we're also looking at her picking back up this online relationship with Cinder, and who that person is and that person's backstory. So it is told in multiple perspectives. I would say that the main crux of it is Ella's perspective, but we do get this perspective of Cinder as well. From the early offset, we know who Cinder is. We find that out very early on. I won't tell you because that is sort of a little reveal. It's not that that complicated to work out from the beginning, but it was really good. It was just one of those ones you wanted to dive into, immerse yourself, enjoy. I cried, I smiled, I went a bit gooey. It was just a real enjoyable read. Not quite a 5-star, but a really strong 4-star. I really enjoyed it. I felt like sometimes the bullying aspect in it was very overdone and a little bit too much. And yeah, I just felt it was a little bit too much. And so that bit sort of knocked it out a little bit for me. But yeah, a really strong 4 to 4.5 stars. There is a second called, I think it's called Happily Ever After. I can't get it on paperback very cheaply, but they have it on Kindle. So I think, unheard of for me, I'm going to start reading that today and read the second one on my Kindle. So I'll come back and tell you about that one before we completely wrap up this week's reading. So I'm back and it is the next day in the evening and I finished the second book. I couldn't wait and I read it in an evening and I loved it as well. I'm going to give this again a strong 4 stars. It's called Happily Ever After and it takes place literally the week after the end of the last book. I can't tell you any more about it, but what I really like about this is we don't get that happily ever after in terms of, oh well, we all forget that she's had this massive trauma, she's going through counselling, you know, she's going through all these different things, she's got a disability so she's unable to walk for long distances and she has to have regular physiotherapy all the time. And it's not like, oh right, now she's found her Prince Charming, everything's going to be all right and everything's fine. It was really much more nuanced. It was just much more thought through, and the story continued, and her problems and the things that she struggled with didn't just go away because, you know, all of a sudden she's found the man she loves. And I was really pleased with that, and I really liked the progression of all the different characters and their connections together. I really liked that the love interest was just a nice guy, like he hadn't been in the past, and he'd been a bit of a playboy, but he was just a nice guy. He didn't, I mean, he had his flaws, but he didn't leave her at the first hurdle and didn't struggle with some of the things, and it was her struggle that we were focused on, and I really liked that. I thought that was a really strong point, and I really liked that she was a really strong character and didn't just go, oh yes, I'll let you take care of me because, you know, you're a big strong man and I'm a little girl and I need your help. I really liked how she stood up for herself. She knew she wasn't ready for certain things, and she wasn't ready to be in certain situations whereas he was more comfortable, and he both respected that, but she stood up for herself even when it would have been easier to have said, yes please take care of me. So I really liked that as well. I would really recommend this duology. It was a really good read in my opinion. I've never had severe burns, but I can only imagine, I mean, how difficult and traumatic it must be, but I felt like the author didn't belittle what she had built up in this character and the trauma that this character had gone through. I felt like she handled it really well, actually. So yes, I'm going to end this week's vlog here because this is a bit of a weird one, and I never knew if I would actually properly mention it on my channel, because it's a bit, well, not delicate, but it's just not the sort of thing people talk about. But last September I found, when I was having a bath and having a wash, that I had a lump down below, and and my instantly my brain flew to the worst possible case scenario. And I took myself off to the doctor, which you should always do if you find anything that you don't know. I mean, don't wait around and think, oh, just take yourself to a doctor. You know, don't think, oh, I'm wasting their time. Take yourself to a doctor, because those few months can, you know, if it is something bad, can make a massive amount of difference. Anyway, I went to see the doctor and she said to me, oh, you've got a Bartholin's cyst. I've never heard of that before. But just in case you ever encounter something this in yourself, I think it's really important to mention, because I have since had to mention it to people at work and various things, because I haven't been in at certain times. And the amount of people that have actually had them before but never shared that story or never told anyone about it, and I feel like it's some dirty secret, and it's not. It's not your fault if you get one. So the Bartholin cyst glands are down below. You've got one on either side of your vagina, and they are used for lubricating. For when you're having sex, or for just like general lubrication down there. And if one of those glands gets, the duct gets blocked, then you can get a cyst form in there, because there's nowhere for that like lubricant to go, and then it can get infected and you can get an abscess. So it turned out in September I had an abscess. They gave me antibiotics which healed it up and burst it. Sorry, not a nice visual. And I thought it went away. A couple of weeks later, you know, less than a month later, it came back, and it got so bad that I had to go to the emergency room, the accident and emergency room, and they took me straight in for emergency surgery, and they gave me what's called a marsupialisation. So you go under general anaesthetic, and it's only for about 15 minutes you're under, but what they do is they cut it open and they remove the cyst and they drain anything else out and make sure it's all gone, and then they stitch it open so that it closes, so to speak, like that, so you don't end up with another pocket in there that could cause problems. Anyway, so I had that done and in November, and then everything was okay, and then at the beginning of December I had a pain down there and I felt a slight lump. It wasn't getting bigger, but I took myself to the doctor anyway, and she said, oh, you've got a little bit of an infection, it's fine, I'll give you antibiotics, take them, you'll be fine. Anyway, so I took them, went on my holiday, everything was fine, you know, it'd gone away. 2 days ago I found the lump again. It's always been on the same side for me, and I really thought after having this marsupialisation done that it would be gone for good, or at least for a good year, and it's not. The GP said it's come back again, it was an abscess, and so I am going back into surgery this Thursday to have the same process done again. It's not terrible, and it's not the worst surgery you've got to have done by any means, and it's day surgery, so I go in the morning, they put me under general anaesthetic, they do the do, and then there's just a few things they have to tick off before you can leave, like they do in most hospitals, but I should be home that evening. It's just quite a lot of discomfort and pain for quite a few days afterwards, and the healing process can take quite a few months, so that's a bit annoying. So anyway, long story short, I wanted to find a time to tell you all about this, because I think it's important to share things with people, not just share about my life, but also share things that have happened to you, because I think, you know, what if one of you gets in the bath one day, or is in the shower, or is, you know, whatever, and finds a lump down there, or feels really sore down there and tight, and it hurts, and then you feel this big golf ball-y type lump and you don't really know, and it scares you. And I just want you to know that there, you know, it's not anything wrong, you haven't done anything wrong, no one knows why these cysts get clogged, there's nothing you can really do. They can happen at any time, you can get them as a teenager, you can get them at any point, you could get one and it go away and never come back. You know, you don't always have to have a situation like me, but I just thought I'd mention it, and also in case I'm not on here for a week or something, that's why, because I'm recovering from that. Yeah, so there you go, sharing is caring, and you know all about that now. But I definitely recommend that duology. So the first one, as I say, was Cinder and Ella by Kelly Oram, and the second one, Happily Ever After, was really good too. So anyway, I'm off to carry on reading Spinning Silver, I think it's called Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. I'm reading it with a couple of lovely booktubers, and I'm really enjoying it so far. It's a real easy read, and I love her writing, so it's a really good take on the Rumpelstiltskin type myth. Is it Rumpelstiltskin? Or maybe not. It's the one where she has to turn silver, as like spin into gold, or turn things into gold. I think it's Rumpelstiltskin. Oh no, maybe not. Oh, anyway, you know which one I mean, where the king gives her silver or gives her something and tells her she has to turn it into gold, and she manages to do it, and she's, yeah, anyway, it's that sort of story. I'm sure when I come back and talk about it in the future, I'll do it in much better detail than that. Anyway, I look forward to speaking to you soon, and yeah, bye for now, BookTube.